About the mystique of Joe Montana, Lathan declared, "One man is not going to beat us." That same line could have been uttered by a Chiefs player about Oilers' outspoken defensive coordinator Buddy Ryan. It is because of Ryan and Montana that the Oilers and Chiefs are one victory away from the AFC title game. Who would have the edge? Buddy not happy, and there's reason for that. 10-0 Oilers at the half. Here comes Joe. Montana right here. Keith Cash making it happen. He had a great game for his second straight week. And look at this. Here's the play of the year. Take that, buddy. 10-7 Oilers. Montana connects for two more TDs. And then Warren Moon finding Ernest Givens. What's this? Oilers within one, 21-20. After a key third down completion to Mr. Cash, Marcus Allen making the difference. Who says he's old? 21 yards for the touchdown. That sealed it for the Chiefs. They are in the AFC title game for the first time in 24 years. Montana's numbers. He throws for 299 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 INTs. Moon, tough one for him. 32 of 43, 306 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. How about Joe? He just loves Houston. He's 5-0 against the Oilers in his career, completing 68% of his passes, 13 touchdowns, and 6 INTs. Montana now 19-4 in domes. Now he and the
teams, at least in recent history, that have done this before, met at the Dome. Houston, 7th straight year in the playoffs. Kansas City, 4th straight year in the playoffs. But the Chiefs have some imports who have done it more than them. Joe Montana's 11th playoff appearance. Marcus Allen in there for the 7th time. Their mission, should they choose to accept it, go to Houston and beat an Oiler team that had won 11 straight games. Their last loss, mid-October. The Dome. How many subplots could you squeeze into this place? Joe Montana against Buddy's blitzing. Warren Moon trying for that elusive Super Bowl shot. Marcus Allen trying to get back. Houston set the tone early. Marcus gets the call, bumps into Joe and bumps into Blaine Bishop and company for a 5-yard loss. Ryan's defense has been outstanding. Then Montana, pressure by Glenn Montgomery. It's going to be picked off by number 24, Steve Jackson. This will set up an Al Del Greco field goal. It's 3-0, 6 straight weeks. The Houston Oilers have given up 17 or less. Montana forced into the incompletion. You know, Tommy, the Oilers are coming all day.
The beauty of it is simplicity. The Oilers put more men on the line of scrimmage than you can block. Bubba McDowell comes free and gets to Montana before he's ready to release the football.
But Marty Schottenheimer's defense, which had given up 24 or more in the last 5 games, they were a different team today. Albert Lewis, the veteran, with the sack of Warren Moon. Joe Phillips, the bull rush up the middle, sack of Warren Moon. So, Houston's offense not keeping up with the D. Kevin and Buddy, will you get along, please? Late first quarter, Warren Moon gets along with Gary Oil Wellman. He takes it for 30 yards. Then on 3rd and 6, Moon to Hayward Jeffries for 10 yards. Houston in business, Joe.
What a great job by Warren Moon hanging in the pocket. Now you see him come off over here to the handoff to Gary Brown. Goes in for the touchdown. Great job by Bruce Matthews on Dan Saliamua.
And so Houston up 10-0 for Jack Pardee. Ryan continues to send his shock troops. Blitz Joe, he'll cough it up, right? Well, Chris Dishman makes a nice play on the pass intended for Burton. Montana to Willie Davis, underthrown. Joe, a couple of passes underthrown as they go long.
Well, that's what happens with the Buddy Ryan pressure defense. It makes you start throwing the ball a little quicker than you want. But Montana knew he was getting people deep.
Montana continues to air it out. Looking for Willie Davis. Dishman just gets a hands on it to break up the play. Montana keeps looking deep. And there's Davis. He's open for it. Oh, he drops the ball. Another postseason error for Willie Davis. Montana can't believe it. But Schottenheimer says, Willie, keep in there. Joe is cool, unfazed by the 10-point deficit. In the 3rd quarter, down 10-0. Montana right back to Davis and looking to make a big play. You can see the receivers loosening up. Montana, play fake. Then to Keith Cash. He's in the end zone for a touchdown. Finds a poster, buddy. Keith, that change, you filthy animal. 10-7 is the score.
Great fake here by Joe Montana. You see Keith Cash spot shadowed, runs his pattern behind the line of scrimmage to lose the defender, and then walks into the end zone.
Montana, and then the shot again, worth looking at. Montana still getting beaten around. Joe sandwiched between Jones and Childress. Lamar Lathan, only Joe's nimbleness affects. He could have got hit straight on, but Lathan with the big sack. And his right elbow looked like a pear. That's the Bursa sack looked like it was about to burst. With the score 13-7, Houston, Montana. To J.J. Burton. He's a beast of Burton. And the Chiefs are ahead for the first time, 14-13. Buddy Ryan in shock. Could Houston rally? Moon. Sacked by Derek Thomas. It's a fumble. Then Seliamua falls on the ball. You don't give Joe the opportunity. Montana. Remember the tough first half for Willie Davis? That was another lifetime. Touchdown, 21-13 Chiefs, rolling in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, Chris Dishman had perfect coverage here, but what a great catch by Davis. And then the presence of mind to keep his feet in bounds on the sideline.
Could Jack Pardee's team rally? Third down, Warren Moon. Haywood Jeffries on the slant. 28 yards down the sideline into Chiefs territory. Oilers on the march. Moon has time. Zip to Ernest Gibbons from Louisville. Touchdown, it's 21-20 Kansas City. Moon had a 300-yard day, 32 of 43 for 306. But could he engineer a comeback against the man that had already engineered one? Joe Montana and the Chiefs lead at 21-20 with a crowd on a fever pitch. Montana, the waffle, but when you're going right, you're going right. Keith Cash is money in the bank. He's inside the 30-yard line. And then, Super Bowl experience for Joe, Super Bowl experience for Marcus Allen. He jukes, he fakes, he scores! 21-yard touchdown. Oh, no! Last four playoff games, the Oiler defense falling apart in the second half. Joe Montana, Marcus Allen, Kansas City Chiefs. What a comeback in the fourth quarter. Remember, they trailed at 10-7 going in. A 31-point fourth quarter. Joe, 299 yards, 22 of 38. Well, you see that. You see everything. We're trying to get, the game was so exciting, we're trying to give you all the information at once. After the game, Jack Pardee kind of just said, what is it about these playoffs?
It's a bad day to be having offensive line problems, and, the tackles hurt, and facing a defensive group like that, we couldn't get a running game going, and they're too tough, too good to be pass blocking every down. So we got caught with a little short stick on that today.
It's kind of ironic, guys, that when Houston couldn't win games earlier in this year, they were 1-4. The only team they beat was Kansas City. Now when they can't lose games late in the year, they've won 11 in a row. The only team they lose to is Kansas City. 9 sacks today by the Kansas City defense.
Well, he is no average Joe. I said this morning that if Joe Montana could play for 3 quarters, the Kansas City Chiefs had a chance of winning this football game. He survived for 4 quarters. His ability to read the blitz is what made that game today. And he had the chance to make those plays in the first half. He missed them. He came back, gave his team confidence in the second half. They kept throwing the same plays. They started to work in the second half.
Well, TJ, also, the thing that haunted the Houston Oilers in that 1-4 stretch was incompetent play in their offensive line. That's exactly what they got today. Inconsistent play. Mike Munchak struggling to do his best. Derek Thomas had a field day with Brad Hopkins again. Just couldn't keep him out. And I think that was the big problem. The offensive line of the Houston Oilers did not give Moon a chance to throw the ball, didn't give Brown a chance to run any place with it.
And once again, the Super Bowl will not be won with a team that runs the run and shoot. You can translate it any way you want, but there's another year gone by. Game ball, Tom, do I have a guess?
You should guess, Chris. Let's go to our game balls, and my game ball is going to go to Joe Montana. You remember Joe Montana, he of the 4 Super Bowl rings, he of the swollen Bursa sack, getting up off the canvas, took a beating, throwing the touchdowns to lead the Chiefs into the playoff championship game for the AFC. His 29th fourth quarter comeback. 22 completions, 38 attempts, 299 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions that won't be remembered.
So Joe Montana is in another title game. That's his 7th. He is 4-2 in title games, 4-0 in Super Bowls. What a marvelous performance indeed. Another comment, Joe. I mean, you saw him work it. Didn't look like his receivers were ever going to step up, but Joe kept his faith in him, didn't he?
He did, Chris. And you know what was interesting? He stepped his faith up in his receivers after he threw the interception, and it looked like his receivers then said, hey, look, Joe actually is human. We don't have to ride his shoulders. Davis, Cash, Burton, let's raise our level of play to Joe Montana's. That's what you saw today. You finally saw the receivers of the Kansas City Chiefs come up and play to Joe Montana's level after he showed him he actually was human.
Yes, and he kind of elevates everyone around him. So this sets up next week. Here it is, and we serve it to you. First, from frigid Buffalo, the Bills, 7-0 lifetime at Rich Stadium, host the Kansas City Chiefs. Their last home playoff loss, 1966, War Memorial Stadium to the Kansas City Chiefs. The NFC Championship game, the one we've been looking for all year. San Francisco at Dallas, the rematch. Dallas won earlier this year. Can they win it again? Well, let's tee up next week, guys. That Dallas-San Francisco game looks like, if both teams are clicking, and of course a lot depends on what Emmett his shoulder situation, that could be a game in the mid to high 30s. Joe, what do you think?
You know, Boomer, I really think this game takes on a very psychological edge now. When everybody's equal, maybe Dallas is a little bit better than San Francisco, and San Francisco might realize that because the so-called suspect defense. But with Emmitt Smith nicked, and as Tommy mentioned, with your astuteness as far as injuries go, pointing out the fact that it takes longer than a week to come back from a separated shoulder, I think the Cowboys go in wondering, can we score? Can we run with the Niners if Emmett's not there?
Your thoughts next week, either game, Tom?
Well, I look at the Buffalo-Kansas City games. I think they're going to be two distinctly different games. I see a lot of scoring in the NFC. I think the AFC game, we've seen two defenses come along now and play better than they played during the regular season. The Buffalo Bills have lifted their level of play, and the Kansas City Chiefs look like the Kansas City Chiefs of last year.
Down to 4. Teams that have been there before. Hope you enjoyed this edition of NFL Primetime. Joe Theismann, Tom Jackson, I'm Chris Berman. We had fun, as if you couldn't tell. Enjoy your evening.
Houston Oilers, the defensive game plan was very simple, just to give Joe Montana fits with the awesome Oiler blitz. And although he was knocked down and hurried on occasion, Montana avoided taking many sacks and put the ball in play. The first half, not much went right for Montana and the Chiefs, but the second half was all Kansas City, scoring 28 points against that vaunted Oiler defense. So consequently, it'll be KC and not Houston that is moving on to the next round. The day did not begin with a bang for the KC gang, a case of missed opportunities, as in dropped touchdown by Willie Davis. Houston led 10-zip at the half. Montana gets the Chiefs on the board, Keith Cash for the score, and then takes his frustrations out on the Buddy Ryan side. Montana rolling out but throws it to the wrong guy this time. The nickelback, Terry Hogues, got it. That set up a field goal, and Houston had the 6-point lead. Montana, unaffected, hits J.J. Burden with a wobbler over the middle. And that put Kansas City on top of the Oilers. Warren Moon was sacked 9 times as the Chiefs' defense put a hurt to him. Derek Thomas caused the fumble, and the Chiefs have it. And just 3 plays later, those fans had more reason to chop because Davis hung on this time. Beautiful, despite that perfect coverage by Chris Dishman. The Chiefs tack one on for good measure. Marcus Allen, the crafty veteran, for 21 yards. The Chiefs make the buddy system look oh so bad. They score 3 touchdowns in the final 9 minutes. So for the first time in 24 years, the Chiefs get this deep into the playoffs. For the Oilers, who had their 11-game winning streak stopped, they haven't gotten past this stage in 7 straight playoffs. That is an NFL high. So Montana now has the Chiefs a game away from the Super Bowl, the place he was hired to lead them. Now 16-5 in the postseason, Montana engineering his 29th come-from-behind win to keep Kansas City in the hunt.
Out there at the end, that run, they run back, everybody was trying to make a play and not reading their keys. So coupled with my bad calls and a couple of over-aggressive things, and that was the name of it.
Well, they challenge us. They challenge our manhood. And I talked to a good friend of mine after a game. They got Deshaun Jones. They got a quality team, but you don't need to do all that talking. You know, guys have enough incentive. You don't need to add to it.
With 2 playoff wins down and 1 to go to the pinnacle of pro football, Montana kept alive his bid at wearing a 5th Super Bowl ring. Our Mark Morgan in Houston has more on the Montana mystique.
The Oilers gave Joe Montana no special treatment. They came after him just like every quarterback in their 11-game winning streak. 9 times in 16 games this season, the Houston D knocked the opposing QB out of the game. But on Sunday, Montana stood up to the Blue Swarm.
Some of those things that he did when he was in San Francisco are just legendary. You know, the guy's a great competitor, he's a great player. But like I said today, Joe knew he was in a ball game.
Montana and the Chiefs offense got rolling in the second half. Joe's touchdown toss to Keith Cash marked the 10th consecutive playoff game in which Montana has a touchdown pass. That ties an NFL record. The Oilers' pressure was intense, but thanks to his offensive line, Joe was getting time to throw.
We knew, like you say, if we give him that extra split second, without the rush coming up the middle, he would make something happen.
I thought Montana played his normal super game, and I thought our guys played awful well. But we just didn't play well enough long enough.
With the Chiefs' defense coming up big, Montana and company were given good field position, and they took advantage of it. Like a surgeon, the three-time Super Bowl MVP once again sliced through a defense in the clutch, hitting J.J. Burden to give the Chiefs their first lead. They never trailed again. An 18-yarder to Willie Davis made it 21-13. With less than 3 minutes left, the lead was only one, and cool and collected as always, Montana gave KC some breathing room. On a 3rd and 1, Joe found Keith Cash, and the big tight end rumbled for the first down. Then another Super Bowl MVP, Marcus Allen, closed it out, and the two veterans had a lot to celebrate.
The guys that protect him, the guys that receive the ball from him, the guys that run the ball, they understand that if they just keep trying, keep fighting, he's going to ultimately make something happen. And defensively, we believe that. So we go out and we put it on the line each and every play, each series, to give him the ball so that we may ultimately have the opportunity to win.
We got to go to Buffalo. And, we got a tough. We played them once already. We know what they can do and what we can do, and it's going to be another tough game back there, but we're still alive.
They certainly are. And now Joe and the rest of the Chiefs take their magic carpet ride to Buffalo, where the three-time AFC champion Bills are waiting. This is why Kansas City acquired Joe Montana, to get to the Super Bowl. And now they're only one win away. From Houston, Mark Morgan, CNN Sports.
So the Chiefs now go on to the warpath to Frigid Rich Stadium in suburban Buffalo for next Sunday's AFC Championship. Though the Bills have never lost a home playoff game there, the Chiefs did beat the Bills at Arrowhead.
I'm John Sullivan with Headline Sports. Joe Montana is one win away from his 5th Super Bowl as the Chiefs ended Houston's 11-game winning streak 28-20 at the Astrodome. The Oilers blew leads of 10-0 and 13-7. In the 4th with that 6-point lead, Montana connected with J.J. Burden from 11 yards out, and the Chiefs were up 14-13. On their very next possession, Houston fumbled the ball away. That set up Montana for a 21-yarder to Willie Davis. The Chiefs beat the Oilers, and they are headed to Buffalo for the AFC Championship game next week. The winner goes on to the Super Bowl.
We got to go to Buffalo. And, we got a tough. We played them once already. We know what they can do and what we can do, and it's going to be another tough game back there, but we're still alive.
A couple with my bad calls and a couple over-aggressive things, and that was the name of it. I thought Montana played his normal super game, and I thought our guys played awful well. But we just didn't play well enough long enough.
Bowl were squelched by the Chiefs. The Oilers were trying to fight their way into the AFC Championship game, but once again their season ends on a sour note. In the 3rd quarter, Houston had a 10-0 lead, but Joe Montana, well, he looked like Joe Montana today. He finds San Antonio's Keith Cash, who in turn finds a facsimile of Buddy Ryan, and lets everybody know what he thinks about Houston's defense. 10-7 Kansas City was right back in it. The Oilers built a 13-7 lead, and that's when Houston fell to pieces. Montana finds his receiver J.J. Burden. Chiefs had a 14-13 lead. Then, after Warren Moon fumbled the ball away, Montana goes back to work. This time, Willie Davis steals one from Chris Dishman. The Chiefs were shocking the Oilers 21-13. However, Houston did answer with a quick score that cut the lead to just a point, but Marcus Allen sealed it with this TD. The Oilers, who were on an 11-game winning streak, are eliminated 28-20 by the Chiefs. For more on today's gut-wrencher, here's Maury Vasquez.
Forget any lightweight buddy brawl rematch. The main event on the Oilers-Chiefs card was a heavyweight duel. Moon versus Montana. The man who has been there before against the man who so desperately wanted to go. Although it didn't take long for Montana to hit the canvas, picked off by Steve Jackson on KC's first series, that did turn into an Oiler field goal, but Houston could not deliver the knockout blow. The Oilers squandered chance after chance after chance to score, and that let Montana stay in the game.
Somehow we kept on letting them hang in there, and when that momentum swifts, there's nothing you can do about it.
The Oiler defense saw a different Joe Montana in the second half. Injun Joe comes out firing with blazing arrows in the final 2 periods, rifling 3 touchdown passes, the first one to San Antonio native Keith Cash, and that cut the Oiler lead down to 3.
Is it sweet to do to the Buddy Ryan defense?
It is sweet. As you saw, I smacked the hell out of that poster over there. It was sweet. It was sweet.
The last two touchdown passes from Montana come within 2 minutes of each other in the fourth quarter, sandwiched around a Warren Moon fumble. Yes, the Montana mystique lives on in the playoffs as KC stuns the Oilers 28-20, and the Houston Oilers season comes crashing to a stunning end.
Didn't expect it all to end like this. Didn't expect it to end today, and just disappointed. I mean, we didn't get it done again.
I think the picture was just too perfect for us. It was just too perfect, the picture was. And the only thing that we didn't do was just put it in a frame and say, hey, this is what we accomplished for 1994.
Haven't we seen this before? Joe Montana scripting a come-from-behind victory in the playoffs, and the Oilers, once again, falling short in the postseason. Forgotten is the 11 straight wins and the team-high 12 victories. All that remains are the questions, what might have been and what could have been. With the Oilers in Houston, Maury Vasquez, Channel 5, Eyewitness News.
I'm Cordell Patrick in Houston with the Oilers, who had a chance to silence one of the best quarterbacks in postseason play ever, Joe Montana, and the Kansas City Chiefs. It didn't take the Oilers long to get to Joe. First series, Glenn Montgomery with the pressure, forcing Montana to make the bad pass. Steve Jackson makes the interception, and the Oilers take over on the Kansas City Chiefs' 23-yard line. The run and shoot couldn't produce, but Houston settles for a 49-yard Al Del Greco field goal. Oilers go up first 3-0. Then Moon, who had passed for over 300 yards, went to work. This play to Gary Wellman covered 30 yards all the way down to the Chiefs' 16-yard line. That set up this Gary Brown touchdown run. Brown was held to 17 yards rushing on the day, but the Oilers had the lead 10-0.
I think we came out ready to play emotionally and physically. We held the lead most of the ball game, but they played hard.
Houston had the 10-0 lead at the halftime break, but the Chiefs' first possession in the third quarter, Montana finds former San Antonio Homestar Keith Cash, 71 yards, 7 plays, in 3.5 minutes. KC trailing the Oilers 10-7.
I just got lost in the, all the stuff that was in front of me, and I just popped open. You get tired of hearing about their defense. That's all everybody talks about. It was their defense against our offense, and they just forgot about the other side of the ball.
In the fourth, it all started to fall apart for Houston. Chris Dishman is called for pass interference, putting the Chiefs on the warpath in Montana for a second touchdown pass of the game. This time to J.J. Burton. Kansas City grabs the lead for the first time, 14-13.
We played, I think, about 3.5 quarters of defense that was just as good as anybody in the world ever played. And we just, right at the end, when we didn't make any plays, and I didn't help them much.
More bad luck for Houston. Moon fumbled the football 5 times, losing 2. Derek Thomas with the hit. Chiefs recover and shocks the biggest crowd to ever see an Oiler game at the Astrodome. Over 64,000 watched Montana throw his third touchdown pass. This one to Willie Davis. Chiefs lead 21-13.
I told y'all that all week. It's going to be a tough game and don't underestimate it. And, they came to play.
But the Oilers charge back with less than 4 minutes to play. Moon hits Ernest Givens for the score, and Houston is down by 1, 21-20. But once again, Joe worked his magic, hitting Keith Cash for the first down. The Oilers' defense was reeling and out of sync the entire afternoon, and when they had to make the big plays, they couldn't do it. Case in point, Marcus Allen's back-breaking touchdown jog into the end zone to seal Houston's fate. The underdog Kansas City Chiefs shocked the Oilers 28-20.
No respect. How sweet is it, man? They got no respect. That's how sweet it is. None. That's how they talk about their defense. You want to see their defense? None. None sacks. That's how many we had. None. And we won. Don't take that.
Even though we haven't won a championship, you can't say that we're losers, but we're not champions. We've had a lot of winning seasons. We've had 7 playoff seasons, so can't say that's a loser, but we haven't been champions yet, and that's something that disappoints me very much.
Once again, the Oilers' hopes of making a Super Bowl appearance are squashed, this time by the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Buddy Ryan, Kevin Gilbride situation may have taken its toll on this club. The 28 points given up by the Oilers against the Chiefs was the most points given up since they started their win streak 12 games ago. In Houston with the Oilers, Cordell Patrick, KSAT 12 Sports.
Thanks, Cordell. And worse yet, I have to eat crow about saying Joe Montana would go down in the first quarter. He did. He let him back. NFC Championship stacks up this way to be next Sunday at 3 o'clock between Dallas and San Francisco, a rematch of last year's that, of course, was played in San Francisco. And for the AFC Championship, yeah, it could be Buffalo again in the Super Bowl, but they got to get by Kansas City and Buffalo. That's 11:30 on the kickoff for that game.
Best heartbreak in Houston once again. Our Pete Delgado spent the day at the Dome and has more.
A record crowd of over 64,000 crammed the Dome, and at the beginning, it looked like the Oilers defense was going to feast on 37-year-old Joe Montana. The Kansas City quarterback was hurried on the game's initial series and is picked off by Steve Jackson. Houston has the ball at the 23. That led to an Al Del Greco 49-yard field goal and a 3-0 Oiler lead. The next time Houston had the ball, the Oilers marched 80 yards under the direction of Warren Moon. Gary Brown caps it with a 2-yard touchdown, and the Oilers lead it 10-0 at halftime. The Chiefs came out quickly in the second half. Former Holmes High School star Keith Cash cashes in from 7, and it's 10-7. Kansas City then took the lead in the fourth. Montana, 11 yards to J.J. Burden, and it's 14-13 Chiefs. Then the Kansas City defense comes up big. Moon is hammered by Derek Thomas. Dan Salamua recovers, and the Chiefs are in business. Montana takes advantage. This time, it's 18 yards to Willie Davis. Kansas City goes up 21-13, scoring twice in less than a minute. But Warren Moon and the Oilers didn't give up. Another 80-yard drive. Moon caps it with a 7-yarder to Ernest Gibbons. It's 21-20 Kansas City with 3.5 minutes to go. But Montana iced it away with yet another pass to Cash. The 41-yarder set up a 21-yard. Marcus Allen scored 28-20, and that's the final. Kansas City, and not Houston, is off to the AFC Championship game.
I'm just really disappointed. I didn't expect it all to end like this. Didn't expect it to end today, and